Hi there traders, and welcome to TradeSetup and the live stream for the 17th of July. Hope we're all doing well. Had a good few weeks. Hope you all have too. Sorry we couldn't get on last week. Just relaxing up in the sunny coast, so it was nice. Doing some work with Davin. Now, for anyone that's new, we just go through the same process. We've got the TradeSetup live stream, the TradeSetup Twitter on the top left-hand corner. You can see on the screen now. Facebook on the top right-hand corner. Join us in on Facebook, or down the bottom right, you can subscribe to us on YouTube, and that way you'll get the alerts up from YouTube also when we do go live with anything we do. Along with you'll get that through the app as well, but as a bit of a backup, till you get a bit of a pop-up from YouTube if you've got push notifications activated. Hope we're all doing well. So, who have we got today? I wonder who we got in today. Got a few in. I've probably got a bit to go through today. We'll do a bit of recapping, I think, today. More than anything, because we haven't been on for a week. I think the last stream we did was Monday it's about the 5th or something around that. I think it was Monday the 5th, 6th, 4th. One of those days anyway, at that stream we did at night. So I hope you all enjoyed that. We're trying to keep those going. We'll do a few more informative ones in the near future as well. We'll just keep that going. I haven't got the camera on today because I think it's still packed, to be honest, and I just remembered it then, so trying to get myself organised after getting back. We'll get into it now. So what we'll do, as usual, we'll just go through the market, where we're at the moment on the ASX, and we'll look through the major indices as well. We'll go through, obviously, what we've got running. There's been a bit of activity in the last week or so. With a few trades getting closed out, some gains, and we've got a few new ones that are cracking along as well. We'll go through those. Bit of an overview of what's happening, what we're looking at, and then we'll open it up again as usual. Open it up, and then you can put in anything you want to take a look at, you want to discuss, just put it into the chat. So we'll get ready and raring. All right, let's get into it. We'll get up trade screen now. Don't really need to look at that. Just 1 second there, guys. Is that better? Just as a quick question, we've got the candles a bit thicker. We've got two different functionalities on this. You can either have them thinner, bit more data, but they're also... So I'm just going to change to a different screen. That's better. All right, so either that, if you don't mind that chart there, that's good enough. You can see that clear enough on whether you're looking through your phone or whether you're looking through the desktop computer or your laptop, actually. Just let us know if you're having problems viewing that there. Well, we'll kick it off. We'll start off with the XJO. And what we see there, I mean, just recapping, the weekly chart is still looking strong. It's still holding. And the key level really for us is way back down at sort of that 50-50 mark. That's over the elections, US elections, when it touched down there. And it's been rallying since on the back of potential good tax reform, which is yet to come about in the US, though. Through Trump with the new administration, and that's kicked on our market. Obviously, we're trading up towards that 6,000 mark, so it's going to be a key resistance up there. That's the long-term charts, and that's from way back at early 2015. So we're edging up there again. You can see the weekly we're still holding. There's a minor level just below that 56. We'll try and zoom in on that, I think. Yeah, just in here. I think it was 55, 75. What was the low there? 80? 55, 82. So you've got a sort of a minor level around that 5,600. We look like even on the weekly, we're holding up just above that, potentially holding another higher low. You can see we had some good reaction in the candles, a good move down, reacted by the following week, a strong move up, took out sort of that 58 zone, which we'll see on the daily. It's in a prime area. You can see on the weekly that stochastics are in that oversold territory, but we're potentially holding up at a higher low. We always like to see that. If you're a bull, if you're a bear, you don't really like to see that. It looks like we're going to get another action leg of some sort higher. Whether that's going to take us through that 59, 50 zone and, punch us through 6,000, that would be great. I think I was saying a long time ago, I don't mind it when we can see that 59.50 when we got to the high just below 6,000, so say 50 points off. I don't mind it when we have a pullback below a key level and build a higher low. It's just building that momentum. You're sort of bringing the bears, potentially seeing that 59.50 as a major lower high. We get onto the daily actually. No, actually we stay on the weekly. As a major lower high, and they start selling into that, but you hold the price structure. That price structure is still pointing north, still pointing up. On the daily, the same sort of thing. You can see there's nothing really that there potentially looks like it's a major rolling over. I'd like to see it pop up and then build a higher low somewhere around 57.50 after getting through, back up through 58.50. That would be great, and that'd be confident that we're going to go through 59.50 and 6,000. But like I said, I don't mind the ASX when we fell a bit short of 6,000. I guess a lot of people are expecting us to tag that and then see what happened from there. But falling short, I think, brings in a lot of bears. In my the way I view it, the way I see it, I think it brings in quite a few bears. A bit early to the market, they're jumping in, expecting it rolling over, and then you're still holding that nice price structure, and then they're going to get squeezed back out. That's the way I'm viewing it at the moment. We'll see how that plays out. What's everyone else's view on the ASX anyway for now? Just while I get in the coffee, and we'll take a look at the other major indices. So the daily chart, you can see there's been a bit of, congestion around here. It's holding these lows around that 56.50 now, but we want to see a move up. It's still got after that. We can see that washed out at say 57. We saw with this move down. I'm just drilling on that. And this is what we're looking at that stage. We're looking at that level at 58. It was really an important level for this move down to finish. So you had that big washout of the lows, the previous lows anyway, of what was that? 56.80 say. Washed that out and popped up, pushed up through 58. So really that's breaking that trend down. But then from there, we've just had it retest the lows at 56.75 around that zone a few times now. Still holding a minor lower high around that 58.25. So at the moment, there's nothing to say why it can't roll over. It's just like we said, looking at that weekly is in a great spot. The pressure on the downside is going to have to, on the weekly anyway, you expect to run out of a bit of steam there. The weekly's in a good zone. The daily is still hovering more in that oversold zone, but we're potentially holding that higher low as well. So that'd be nice to see, but we would like to see, like I said, that pop up through 58.25, pull back to build that higher low, and I think that's going to bring a lot more buying. And that new leg, especially off this nice base through here the last month or so, month and a half, through here, pushing up off that base of 56.75, I think that could produce a nice leg up, and it's going to, I think, because we fell short previously of 6,000, I think there's enough buying in there, enough shorts to get squeezed out. That's going to come in and just take us through. I'd like to see that through that 6,000 mark. I think the US is looking quite strong. Europe's doing quite well, quite strong also. So we'll see if that can filter over into our market. We're traditionally a bit more negative than everyone else, so we'll see how it goes. Let's take a look at those markets now. Anyone any questions just on the XJA for now? Just while I take the opportunity to have another sip of the coffee. There's a bit of a lag on that, a bit of a delay, but if there's no questions, feel free to just chuck it in the chat. Type it in the chat. We'll get on to the next one. So we'll start off with the US. I always fit the code for that. GS, that's the S&P 500. All right, and that is a daily. So Friday, new highs in the S&P, which is great. The Dow did the same thing, new all-time highs. I mean, you can't argue with that. The trend is up, looking great. Let's take a look at the weekly. You can see the weekly, it had a big, strong move up. I mean, that's from way back 2011. Big, strong move up before we sort of hit above that 2100 and then started finding a bit of selling, built that lower high. But really, it just tagged a level, a few levels through there and then started building a new leg up. So it's looking strong. I mean, potentially it's getting extended, but there's nothing to say. We're just into reporting now in the US. Nothing to say that I think the banks that went on Friday, they sort of kicked it off reporting season. They all outperformed. So I think there was a bit of profit taken into that on Friday by the looks of things. They had a 6-week rallies in the financials in the US. So I think that's probably what that caused that. But we still, the market was still strong, pushed up into new all-time highs. So it's still looking good. And we've spoken about this quite a few times with the short sellers just trying to pick a top. They do it, and it is just good, some really good fuel for the market to just keep grinding higher, keep washing them out, have a bit of a pullback, drag in some more sellers, and turn around and push back up and wash them out again. So the S&P does it time and time again. Most markets do the same type of thing, but the S&P, I haven't quite looked at it, but last time I looked, they were still heavily loaded on the short side. Just looking more at your retail investors anyway. It's not a nice thing to say, but that's just the way it is. We've got, what else we got? We've got the Dow. We'll take a look at that. Dow, still the same thing. Great base in there. You can have a strong move up. Washing out a few of those longs, those late long positions. People who bought it later into that trend, potentially through 2014, getting washed out here and maybe having to re-enter in this new move back up once it took out these highs, made new all-time highs, especially this daily candle there. Bang. Still looking good. Still holding that trend higher. Nothing's changed as yet. Still looking strong. So we'll see if that can continue. So 2 out of 2 so far looking good. Look at the FTSE in Europe. They still got their Brexit concerns to get through. I think in Europe, what is it? The EU, they're still, they're not going to, they're looking at that easing quantitative, well, what do you call it? I always get myself confused on the fundamental side of things, but looking at, I guess you'd say easing back on the easing, if that makes sense. So that's quite positive for that zone. There's no more support. They don't need to worry about it anymore. They're doing quite well. They've got into good economic figures coming out with growth, growing slowly, but they're going in the right direction. So we can see if that continue. You look at the FTSE here, or look at the DAX in a second. That's grinding higher in new highs. It's 76 just recently tagged those highs. That's the weekly. So we go to the daily. This, in my book, doesn't look too bad at all. It's in prime position. We spoke about this recently when it tagged that 7100, and that zone there was just beautiful. We spoke about this a long time ago when it took out that high at 73. That for me just really looked nice. Double bottom here. That's a key support zone at 71. Pop up, bring in some potential sellers, and then straight back and wash them out with that break up through 73. And you knew that it was going to be a new leg high, touching, potentially just driving through those highs, which it did, just above 74, below 74.50. This high just in here. Now we've just contracted lower, but potentially in a nice little zone here at 73 to hold up as a high low and just continue that daily trend higher. Could be, you can see here, if we can just drill down on it, potentially the same type of price action. You've had that, except, it's slightly different, obviously. This is, we call it a retest fail, when it tests a level and fails and pops back up, or the reverse if you're heading up. Test a level and double top, just the opposite, just flip it around or flip it over. We could be doing the same type of thing here. We've tested that zone 3 times now. You touch down, and once we broke up through, I think these highs, well, look, I'll draw it up. I'm just going to get my fancy little tool up again. Now, I want that. Like I said, I want blue. I like my blues. All right. You've got that zone in there, which is potentially just another high low. You've had this contraction, lower highs, lower lows, a bit of a washout here, taking lower lows, pushed all the way down. You've tried it 3 times. Once we got up through the highs just above 73.60, I think that's looking like it's a prime. It just looks really nice for that to be a higher low, and we can work a major higher low in context to that 71 zone, and then building another high low, a bit like this, pop up, pull back, building a higher low, and that's produced another leg up. Potentially that's what we could be seeing in here. We can build a high low somewhere around the zone, 73, 40, 50, 60, 70, somewhere around there. That's quite broad. That could take us back up, and I think it's going to take us back up through 74.40 and start attacking these highs towards 76. So that's on the FTSE. That's looking quite positive too. What else we got? The DAX. I think we only really need to go over the DAX. If there's any other indices you want to quickly look at while we're at it, just chuck it into chat there. Just type the code and we'll get to it. Like the Nikkei. If I can find that, we've got the Nikkei here. Hang Seng. Quickly, actually, we'll have a look at those as well. That is the DAX. Same sort of scenario. It's still looking strong. You've got a key level down here. Well, it's probably not really a key level, but you've got a level down around that 12,000. Just through here, which produced that leg up. We've had a bit of a pullback and just took out the highs from here, and that started that leg up, which is really just a grind. It's really just popped up through. So we may have a bit of contraction here. We may just be building. We may come back down and retest this 12,300, that zone just in there, and then pop up from there. We just have to see how the DAX go. It doesn't look quite as good, I think, as the FTSE or the others we just spotted on. But look, the trend's still higher. It may just have to... You may just see a bit more contraction here. Just bouncing around, holding up above these lows. Maybe a pullback, build a higher low, and then I think we're on again. This may be enough contraction, just to wash out some of these late buyers out of the market, put them back on the sidelines, get ready to jump back in again, and pushing that mark higher. We'll just see how that goes on the DAX. Quickly looking at the Hang Seng. Just take a look at that. Look, that's in highs. Nothing much to say about that. It looks quite good. What do we got here? Heading up, I think we're going to have a key reaction zone around 28,000, 28,500. Big numbers there. Pushing up into there, those highs. And I think from there, then you're sort of looking up towards that 32,000 from way back in the GFC days. So yeah, it's getting a bit extended up here on the Hang Seng. What about the Nikkei? Look at that. Same sort of thing. It's pushing up into a 21,000. That's going to probably, we might find some reaction up there, but it's still, the latest price action is still heading high, getting a bit extended up here as well. See how that one goes. That's probably about it just on the indices, but you can see when we're looking at the US, where that's heading high. Most major indices are heading higher. Some are heading into resistance. The US is in all-time highs. FTSE's looking good. What have we got? The DAX not looking too bad. ASX has actually, got that potential. If we just go back to the daily, potential to start popping up. I like that zone. It is potentially that higher low on a good area on the weekly as well. So there could be a new leg up, and I'm sort of expecting that. I just want to see a bit of a wash out of these highs, pop through, maybe pull back, or we could just bang straight up through them. Let's see how we go from there. But yeah, that's looking good. All right, any questions, guys, before we just touch on what we've got running at the moment? Well, hey, anyone miss me while I was away? Enjoying myself? I hope I get a yes, at least one. I know you're missing me now, Dav, if you're listening. Sorry. Alrighty. So, just seeing where we are. So we're down 5 points at the moment. Not so much of a big deal there. I've got to remember what I said this morning. I can't remember whether I said it's going to be up or down. I think I was saying it was up about 10 points potentially. Oh, guys, you're ace. Makes me feel good then. Yeah, true. Everyone's slaving away. All right, so just looking at this one quickly, it's only done 40,000, probably more than that. This is only taking into account the ASX, not, I always forget the other index. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's only a small one, but that, you just look at that on a weekly, that looks great. Like that, it's pushed down, started popping back up, holding high lows on the weekly the last few years. And then to me, that's looking really, really nice, potentially for a nice, you can see that, I think Davin calls it like a cup and handle. The handle up here, producing that cup and starting to push up. So I think just after we took out this level, high at 71, with this during this day, we're probably pulling back. If we get back up through that little high there, I think it's going to attack at least 77.5, go into new highs. I think sooner or later, when you get this kind of weekly structure, it's going to start accelerating. You might get an accelerated move higher and start attacking up to $1. So there could be something in this one. That's MXI, if anyone wants to know the code. What do they call it? Maxi Trans Industries Limited. But that's not one we got, so we don't worry about that. All right, we're just going to go over some of the new one. BXB, that was a short from around 10. Played out quite nicely, took a good little profit on that. Just stopped out on Friday, which I didn't notice, to be honest. I thought we were still in that one. Only by about 3 cents. It is heading back up there now anyway, so we'll see. Maybe this is going to be that high low, or maybe it's just going to contract higher, probably retest the breakout zone around that 10 mark, and then maybe it rolls over again. Looking at the weekly, there's no way, there's no reason why this can't just continues straight down through 9. If we start consolidating through here, maybe that was a bit of a washout move down to 9. Pop back up. We got some of that short there. It may be building that high low. We don't know. We'll just have to see how it goes. Extended to the downside on the weekly anyway. Just coming off that, extended down on the daily. But we'll see. We'll see. That was a good little one for us anyway. What else do we have? CCL. Short that one. I've got to find the prices now. 8.95. So that's still looking good. Bang, you can see that we're somewhere in here. I think through here on that, basically that day there. The next day it gapped down and it sort of rejected down that below 8.40, but you can see we're starting to look like it's going to roll over again. So we'll see how that one goes. That's Coke. That weekly structure, it could be heading down to that 8 again. We'll just have to see how that plays out. It looks good. Good for more downside anyway. That's a short. Don't mind putting through a few shorts. We'll go through Telstra, the other short we've got. We don't mind putting through some shorts when you know the ASX is getting a bit tentative, because you just sort of want to, I guess, if you can. I mean, I know there's a few. It's cranky. Sorry about that. The cranky internet. I generally get cranky when my internet's not working well. Yeah, like I was saying, when the market on the ASX is starting to get a bit choppy, like it has been probably the last month or so, it's a bit undecided at the moment, whether it's up or down. It's not a bad idea. You pick out some shorts, if you can. Obviously, for this pure stock trade, it's a bit tougher. But if you can have access to CFDs or another way to short, you can get, what are they called? I know Davin trades them a bit. Warrants through the ASX is another way to trade. Or you can trade through options. Just a bit tougher on the options because they got time decay. But if you can trade, just putting some shorts in there. We got Telstra as another one that to me looks like it's about to really drop. I know they've got their dividends. Paul, you'll probably know when about they're due. But anyway, you can see that move. It's starting to really roll over. We had a short on, I think it was around here, that pushed through 31. Actually, no, it's through here. This candle here, when it popped through that low, you can see that low of 33. We had a short on at 31 from there. Didn't tag it that day, tagged it the next day. Then pretty much got a bit choppy from there, and it started pushing back up above 40. But really that's just returning. It's just probably washing out a few of the shorts, maybe bringing in a few buys, and it started to roll over again. So from here, I would expect after this little pop up, some more capitulation. I'd like to see it, through 420, and I'd like to see it target towards 4. That would be great. 30th of August, so it's got a long way to go. So yeah, if we can just really put some pressure on those buys, squeeze a few out, maybe to try and hold it, head south a bit more. We see if we can get down to 4, but that's looking good. We're at 431, 424 at the moment. So that's another short. So on the long side, a new one which is going great guns. Just got to try to figure out MBE. It's only a small one, as a few people probably won't be interested in these type of smaller ones, but they got some great returns when you get it nice. 7.6 cents. Long on that a few days ago. 7.6 actually. I think it was Friday, if I'm right. Friday took it, and then it's just popped back up. Closed about the same as where we got in, but then today it's gone on strong. That's looking great. Purely, you got the weekly too. That's looking quite nice. I mean, look at that. That's got a lot of room on the upside to move. Could easily do that. I think it had some good news out too recently, the last couple of days, but that weekly's starting to look, that daily's looking good. And that little pop up there for lows, it's come back down and retested the lows and started working its way up. So we'll just see if that can accelerate higher as well. You're just showing off now, Paul, aren't you? So Paul's BSL. I reckon it's really good. I probably dropped the ball a few times on that one. I think I was looking at BSL anyway. We'll have a look at that one in a minute. What else do we have? MBE. Just trying to see. New one today, I think. This one here. We're looking at above 253 from Friday, and it's gapped up on the open today. So we've got 58, I think. So we're taking 58 as the entry, and it's 59 now. So, but that's still looking quite nice. You can see that the market's really contracting. It's got a lower high here, but a higher low. So it's spent a lot of time just in here, and it's popping back up. So we expect it to attack that high of 265, 265, and push up and start building those high lows to work up towards, really pushing up through those highs at 284 and above. Just see where it can go to. Then it'll be in clear skies, I think. Yep, into clear skies. So that will be looking good. Once it gets up through there, you can see that's going to be a major high low just in here. Well, around that 220 potentially is going to be the major high low. Just see if that can kick on. It looks good. What else we got? That's a new one. I'm just going to go through them. Oh, we've got 7 on at the moment. IMD, which is one that's been going for a while. We got that one in at 66.5 through here with this little start. When we start to push up a few, taking a profit at IMD. Just got to see 76.5. This gave us 15% there. And we've got the remaining half, just seeing where it can run to. I think that's just touched on the new high at 80. Would be nice if we can start at least give that a bit of a retest. But you can see that it spends a lot of time building and then doesn't get too high. I mean, the way it kicks on quite strong in a few days, but it doesn't, if you know what I mean, it's not a long leg up or a very, it doesn't have a big rally. And then it spends a lot of time, bang, 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 choppy here, holding the high lows, and then bang, we go straight up to 80. So maybe 80 is that, if you project it from the low to the high out here, maybe that's about where the target could be. But we're going to, I think we've got our stop just below there. But we'll see. But we've only got half a round on that, taking a booked again, happy with that. Just see how that plays out. What else we got? IMD, Telstra we've gone through, Fig's one that still looks really nice, you can see. That's trading up and at all-time highs. Clear skies ahead if we can get up through sort of that 94.5 mark. We're in at 92, somewhere around here. Hasn't done much since we've been in, but it's still building, holding these high lows. So you would expect from here to start punching up through that 92.5, 93 highs. I think the 93.5. Expect that to happen soon, so that'd be good. What else do we have here? I think that's probably LLC was another one. ILU, Iluka. Great. In at 8.95. It's now 9.36. That's going nice. So, and then it's just starting to tag those new highs too. So the weekly looks great. You see that weekly. See how much time it's spent around these lows. I know it's had a bit of a range, a couple of buck range, but on a weekly it's pushing down, holding high lows, and it's just now that it's starting to break some key levels and up towards, what's that high, 9.18. So it's got through those with this little move up here, this recent move up there, pushed up through those highs, pulled back, build it high low, and it's going up again. So we could expect that to start accelerating. We should expect that to start accelerating higher. That'd be nice to see if it can kick on. What else? I think that was probably about it, hey? LLC was probably the last one. Again, that's not looking too bad. What was that one there? 17.25. So it's actually, it's up for us as well. So it's looking good. We'll see if that can continue high. It's holding the high lows. I mean, trend is up. That's all we need. It just had a bit of a reversion to the mean with a pullback to the MAs. Held another high low, and that you can see that move there, that little pullback if we can get closer. This one here is the one that's really got us interested, especially after these lower highs through here, took out the lows. It's put a few people on the sidelines. The MAs are still pointing high. Then you've got this high low in here, and then that you'd expect that to be the start of a new leg up, and we've just grabbed some of that in there around that 17.25 mark. So that's probably about it from us. I guess that's everything we've got. Now, I know Paul wants to jump onto BSL. Let's take a look at that one there. Anything you want to take a look at, put it in, guys. We've got a few that we've got on the radar still. We can go through a few of those. But yeah, I want to hear. I think it'd be good more if you, because it's been a couple of weeks, chuck some charts in or something you want to take a quick look at, and we'll go over them, just see where they're looking. There's been a few I had on the radar and they've just gone on without me. Just left me on the sidelines, which I don't like. But anyway, that's the way it goes. That's what it happens. We're still kicking along nicely. We've got an Aussie dollar, which is a bit of a heads up. We're going to alert that again later on. Mod. I've had that before in the past. MOD. I think I did really well on it. I was happy with it. I haven't looked at it. We'll have a look at that then. We'll start off with Paul's BSL. So I know Paul's had this for quite a while, and that is a cracker. You can see it was in here when I started looking at it, and I guess it's pretty clear why. That's a beautiful. If you look at the weekly too, it's I don't know what else to say really. It's looking nice. You had that move down to the lows, below $2. I think it was $2. Yeah, below $2 just in here. That was way back in 2012. Then we had that move up, roll over again, but it built a major high low, and that's on a weekly basis around that $3 mark, and that's produced this nice strong leg higher. The weekly's potentially getting a bit extended, a bit stretched up here. No reason to bail. You bail when it cracks a level more than anything. Bub. Yeah, I can't remember what we did on Bub. We've done something there. We'll go through those in a second there, Clement. Yeah, so look, it's looking really nice, BSL. I think this is a key level what we're looking at, and I really just, to be honest, I forgot all about it. I was looking at getting it through, putting an alert out through that 1250 mark, and I guess it's pretty clear why. And I think it's great price structure. If we can look at that, it's blue scope. So that, for us, you can see that sort of consolidation after you've got a move down, and you add up and just putting all the signs together. And there's a lot of things here. It's probably a great example of what we look for and why we like this one and what sort of price structure does. How it gets us excited, I guess, is one way to put it. You can see here it's had that pop up. It's washed out the highs, and that probably would have brought in a new buy on stop entries through there. Flushed out through those highs, but then it's taken out this low. And what that's done is probably these people in here, or the people who have bought it in here, maybe as a short-term trade, we don't know why. If you're holding it long, you would have expected them, well, if you're doing it properly, you hold it long in there. If you're holding it long-term, sorry, I don't think you'd be putting all your eggs in one basket just then. You probably would be wanting to, thinking, okay, if we're getting stretched, I'd rather buy some after a complex correction. And we call this a complex correction. It's washed out some of the lows. Buyers have started stepping back in, so that's really we look at as the new origin point for a new leg higher, and that's pretty much what's happened. So putting everything together, that's that little breakout through the highs. That's probably put pressure on potentially people, washed them back out again, put them back on the sidelines. Maybe that's what they want. If they want to be part of this, then no, exactly. No, you're right, Paul. W pattern. If anyone doesn't know, anyone that's new, that just wants to know what we're talking about with the W and the M patterns, probably M for when you're going short anyway, or when you're exiting, but the W pattern, what we like, just go through the webinars on our, what is it called, the YouTube channel. There's quite a bit of information on there. It's all free, stuff that we've gone through in the past, and what we look at and why we like it. Davin was chatting away about it on that Monday's webinar, so it's probably a good thing to view. But yeah, Paul's right there, classic. So you've got that move down, washed them out, popped up potentially, and it's just washed out. You can see that just that little high in there, washed it out again, and then headed south, made a new low down at 11, but then started getting a bit choppy, and then you've got a higher low stepping in 11.25, which is nice, and it produced that pop out through that high. So here's where you've got to just take note of what's happening with this little move up here. I don't like to potentially enter through there. There could have been, well, it's not a very strong, great line, an entry through there. Could have been one. You can see that off a higher low after we've popped up through these highs. So what you're looking for is that is flushing out a few people, and you generally get sort of those two legs lower. So here would have brought in a few buyers, maybe that missed it here or got stopped out here, maybe revenge trading, we don't know why. But generally you get these two legs lower, and then you start to get the next leg building, which is ideally exactly what happened here. And then it's got a bit choppy. And then you start to look for these key levels where, I'll draw that up a bit better. If it can't get and make new lower lows, then you look to the most recent lower high, where people are going to start, who have potentially been shorting it, to get washed out of the market. And you want to see that break, and that's what's happened. It popped its head through here. Then you've got that pullback. It built another higher low just in here, which is great. And potentially you could have had an entry, which I said, just through that 12.25 on this, taking a bit of heat just in here, but it's turned out beautifully. And again, you've got another entry you could have used a bit more aggressive entry through that 1260 zone, and if you can see that the zone that I'm talking through there, just through here. If I just take that back a bit, so you can see it sort of pushed down, made a lower high just there, but it also built that higher low. So you can see that's just that minor contraction, which we love to see. And when you know, I mean, this could easily roll over, but confirmations to break through that high, you know that it's coming out of contraction, it's going the way you want it, it's going up, supports all this type of price action, and then you've got it into new highs. So now you just, I wouldn't be trading it, buying it just yet, but I'd be keeping an eye on this one, just to see how far and where it can go from here. But that's it. If you just want, great idea to study that chart. I think that's a cracking, just this zone in here, it's a cracking little, you know, structure, price action to study, and what sort of, I guess, pieces to the puzzle you're putting together for a trade entry, for a potential trade entry. Does that make sense there, guys? Any questions just on that before we get on to MOD? Let's just get, I've got everything. All right, looking at that daily chart. Oh, I did it again. I always do that. Let's just go from, let's make this a bit bigger. I hope that's clear enough. This is Mod Resources, MOD, just for anyone. So you've had that push up there, nice leg up, nice, you know, washing out a lot, some of these long positions, built that major high low, and then you can see it's starting to edge high. Now, I was just going to say, I don't, before I go on, well, no, I wish actually I will go on. You've got this move up here, okay? That's a big, strong move up, accelerated move, near vertical. You know that when things like that happen, you're probably going to get a lot of profit taking. People don't want to miss anything, potentially, especially when you get that lower high just in here, and then you'll be looking towards contraction. So you really just got to sit and wait to see when it comes out of contraction. And potentially we're doing that now. And this to me looks a lot like, I don't particularly like move down. It's like a V-shaped recovery, you call it. You know, it spike right down to around that 450, and then just starts working its way with higher lows. I don't particularly like that, but looking at recent price action, that's exactly what it did before. Not exactly, it wasn't quite as severe. The move up here wasn't quite as severe as this one, and the move down wasn't quite as severe either, but it hasn't really retested this low exactly like that, exactly like previously back in November. So just taking that into account, there's no reason this is really starting to look good. And if we go, this was the weekly, I think. So if we just break that, is it the weekly? No, it's the daily. Oh, let's get rid of that. I don't want that. Where's my little man? Here we go. If we just take a look at, now all we're doing, we're looking at a zone potentially where we can buy into. What we're looking for here, it could be just about starting to play out. You've got this little double bottom in here, and that's, you know, you've got that trend higher. Everything's starting to look quite good. We'll draw that up a bit closer just so it's, here we go. Keeps going back to the arrow. So you got this move up here is holding. I mean, what else do you say? It's tagging that low. It's starting to build some higher lows here. You know, you've got a nice higher low here, and that's a double bottom as well. So that's a really nice, strong move. So if you take, just looking for an entry, you know that that's starting to pop its head up out of contraction. It's contracting lower with this move, the lower high in here, but it's just touched down on the same, retested that previous low back last month, middle of June, say. So now we're just looking for a potential entry zone. And for me, that could be your first sort of key level is that lower high. I think it's 6.5 cents. I would potentially like to, well, I won't draw that. I would ideally like to see it's pushed up, pull back. So that's your double bottom. And we're just starting to get it here. I would ideally like to see it pop up through that high, then pull back, and I'll take it, you know, ideally it would be nice to see it through if you get a bit of a pullback there. You can buy it. It'd be aggressive to buy it through 6.5, but your stop's going to be down here. This just means you can get tighter risk management, really, and a better risk to reward ratio as well. But either way, I think that's coming out of contraction now. Then you'd be gunning for those highs around that 9 cent mark. Looks good though, Clement. Nice. You got some good price action there. Let's look at BUB. Okay, let me just see. I know we've had this. I just can't remember what we did with it. All right. Maybe I'm dreaming. We didn't have this one. Oh, no, sorry. I had this one. It wasn't actually an alert. I had this a while ago. I think I had it through... here. Yeah, I bought it way back then. So this is just a personal trade, but don't worry about that. All right. So that looked good. You can see it's starting to pick up here. I like this little pop-up. When I bought this personally, just for, I guess, just to be true and honest, I bought it through that high. We'll just take that now. The reason why I looked at it back was just through that high. That really good. And you can see after it tested down at this level, I think it was around 13 cents a few times, it popped its head up, and that's exactly, you're coming off a higher low, buying it through that high. It turned out beautifully. I think we got out around 27, 28. I got out around there. Right now, that's looking good. The only thing is just this extended move up. I tend to not, I guess, get worried, but just take note of that, because that's quite a powerful move up. That's a nice powerful move up. A lot of profit taken in here, and it's spent a lot of time sort of building that base. Good part of, actually, it's most of this year, 6 months or so, just building that base in there. So this is a good strong move up. Nowhere near as strong as that, obviously. I think it had some really good news. So this is what I'd be looking at now. You can see, obviously, that's becoming a bit of a pennant flag, whatever you want to call it. It's contracting. So two things could happen. Because of that move up, we could easily get the lower high and we start breaking through 27, breaking down and just washing out a few more of those long positions and building a major higher low, potentially around that, it could be anywhere, somewhere around 20. Because of that strong move up, that could just be that people are getting a bit antsy who have bought it in here when I did, maybe trying to hold it, and not getting the results they want to see. They want to lock in some more profit. Anyone that's maybe bought it in here maybe doesn't want to get stopped out. They might want to lock something in. So there is potential for that to roll over if it breaks down through 27. And then you probably expect it to get through 25 or maybe retest 25. But either way, if it breaks down through 27, you probably just want to be on the sideline, sit and wait it, because it's coming out the bottom side. So it's contracting in with higher low, so a higher low in here and a lower high. Price action contracting in. You're not exactly sure which way it's going. If you want to buy it, you want to see, when it starts breaking up out of contraction. So this is definitely one to have on the cards, I'd say. It's got, I know it has had some good, I think, Clement, it's had some good. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I did talk about it. 17. So, yeah, that was, I think it probably was that push up. So, if you're looking at this or anyone's looking at this, just remember, this is what you want. You want confirmation. There's no confirmation just yet. It looks nice. To me, it looks nice. I'm leaning to the upside anyway. You just want confirmation that's going to go another strong leg higher. You want to see, because if that's the case, when we're building, we contract a bit further and we pop out to the top side, you can just about measure, say, from 15 up to 30, 31, 32, add it to sort of this low here at 25, let's say at 30, 42, 43, which should take it somewhere up towards these highs. So potentially, this here is going to get a next leg up, is going to smash up towards 44, 45. And even if it just retests the highs, that's a really good risk-to-reward trade there. Does that make sense? We'll get on to yours too, John, there at CLQ. Does everyone believe what I'm saying still? Do I sound refreshed to everyone? Yeah, look, that one. I love this type of trading. This is probably what I love seeing this. I love seeing inside lower highs, and then on this zone here. And this is a good example. I don't think we've done anything on this one. I like seeing those higher lows within, and off a lower high as well, which you can see. I think it's always a good potential for a new trend high. That buyers are quite strong because you're still holding higher lows. It's cleaned out. These sorts of moves are cleaning out a few of the long positions that are getting a bit nervous, especially with these, washouts through here. So you're getting that lower high here, but you're also getting higher lows, and you can just see that. That was beautiful. That little trade in there, if you got that, I mean, it's great, easy in hindsight. They could have popped up here and just gone bang, bang, and could have hit, gone down, but you know where your risk is anyway. But I like seeing that type of price action because for me, that is washing out. It's putting a lot of people on the sidelines. It's in a great zone. The price structure looks good, so you're taking the chance that this is going to be the beginning of a new leg higher, which in hindsight it was, and a nice strong level. And you know that your risk, as you're coming from, you're sort of buying in that contraction, or even if it breaks out, pulls back, and then goes, well, it wasn't really good, was it? Then goes, you've got your risk here. It's coming out of contraction, it's heading up, and you're just looking for your entry from there. But this is a nice, I do like those inside ones as well. They're a bit more risky because it hasn't broken out of that contraction. But I guess I liked the risk reward on them are quite good too, because you're not going to take much risk and potential when you're buying it below the high. And it's in that it's in the unknown, not the known. Obviously, there's a bit more risk when you're buying the unknown, but the potential payout is a lot better. It's a hell of a lot better. I mean, if you were going to buy this like this type of setup, you would have had to buy it through those highs. Had to wait because it's just gone bang straight up through the highs. Everyone knows what's happening from there, and it's a lower. I guess it's a lower payout trade, buying it with that little breakout there. Through 77, but it's a higher probability, I guess. So sometimes it's just a risk. I guess you just have different trading styles, different entry setups. Sometimes they look great. Sometimes you look like, oh, maybe I won't take this one. So you just got to weigh it all up. But anyway, that there, if we just go and clean that chart up a bit more. Like I said, I like that type of style. It's going off high lows. Bang, you've got a great payout there. Clean this up now. Wife's home today. Been crazy. All right, you just go and extend that line out. It's had that big move up here, and we're just flushing out some more long positions, but you're still holding that longer term trend higher. And this here, you can see that lower highs, lower lows, bang, 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 down until we got to here when we took out that most recent lower high in that move down. Does that make sense? So that's what we call the anchor to the move down. These are the levels we've talked about before, and this is what we watch because you want to see. We don't know which way it's going at this stage, just in here. We don't know where it's going. It could just head straight, could bang straight through that 55, head down, retest the lows. It's all over. You've got a losing trade if you bought just in here. But once you get that breakout through that anchor level, that to me is saying we are going to start holding that trend up again. Buyers are starting to step in, proving themselves. Really starting to step up to the plate. They've broken through that anchor, so you'd be gearing up for. You're just searching for an entry setup on this one. And I don't think you can do it. The only thing for me is this strong leg down. So I just got a phone call coming through. Make sure I got that on mute. But you can see that's starting to show some really nice signs, especially with this leg up. So now I would probably just be looking for a bit of contraction. I'd ideally like to see pretty much just what we drew up there. A shallow retracement and then just an entry opportunity where you can take it through. You can see that you've got an inside higher low here, potentially somewhere around 75 to 77. I guess you can ideally buy it through 80. Then you might find a bit of resistance up towards 35, but you are coming off higher lows. I'd just like to see, after this, I'd like to see a bit more evidence of buyers stepping in. A bit more time, if that makes sense. because you can buy it now and it could just roll over, retest there. You're holding a losing trade. You're getting a bit nervous. You might be forced to get out. You don't know. You just want a few more. You want some other buyers to take the heat for you, I guess. Does that make sense? But I just like to say, spend a bit more time, say, contracting in there. You can see a bit more volatility's coming out. Selling's going away. And then it's starting to get soaked up. Any sort of selling's getting soaked up to the buyers. A bit more evidence, and then you look for that entry. But it's looking good. 84, 84, 84. Where are we? Yeah. I mean, if you took it through that high there, if you took an entry through the high, you probably want to have your risk right down here, which is quite wide, I guess. EUC, we'll take a look at that. I just think it potentially, that sort of buy there through 85 is a very similar buy through 80 with risk, if it just turns and heads straight up from here, with risk of only 10 cents as opposed to more like 20 cents, 25 cents. Because if you're breaking through 80 off another high low, that's looking like to me it's coming out of contraction, and you're going to at least target, you're probably going to get 85 entry anyway. Does that make sense there, John? I mean, that's just the way I look at it. I like to buy it a bit earlier and let other people move my trade into a profit when they're buying it, if that makes sense, and let them be I just want to get into a zone where, looking at the price action, you're weighing everything up and then getting in nice and early. So if it does just retest 85, it could break up through there. 85, it doesn't look good, something wrong with my analysis. I could take a break-even trade and walk away and just wait to potentially get a stronger setup. But yeah, either way, like buying through 84, you risk. You could probably put your risk up there. If it turns around and heads straight up through there, more confirmations if it goes through that high than this high, and your risk could be just a bit wider. But I think, like I said, if it breaks up through 80, I think it's a high probability it's going to straight up through 85 anyway. We'll see. I'll paper trade it. You you really trade it there, John. We'll see who's right and who's wrong. Anyway, it looks good. It's definitely, I think it's on the buy side anyway. It's just really, we're just arguing semantics, I guess, about setups. And that's the beauty of trading. It's what you're always trying to do, is just trying to refine your entry techniques. I mean, I could see here just by the stuff that you're putting up, guys, it's actually really nice. The trades you're putting up, even if this market's been choppy, and when we're popping up, we're up at 7.5 at the moment. We've done really nothing today. The last few days haven't done too much. The stuff that you're putting up is in an uptrend. It's definitely in an uptrend. They look great trades. Even so, you're picking out the quality ones. You're seeing the really. I think you're really seeing the right stuff. So what we're talking about, like I said, the semantics about setups is where you're at the moment, and it's great because you're really just refining your entry techniques, and that's what trading is. EUC. Let's take a look at that then. You're not going to see much on that chart. All right, so it's way down. It's a bit hard to see. But just looking at, where it's come. Let's actually just see. Cobalt. Okay. I don't know if that's worthwhile even taking note of that. I don't know what's happened. Michael, no worries. MSP. We'll go to the daily. We're worried more about what's happened in the last few months. We'll just get back a little bit. All right, but either way, that's starting to push us way up off the lows. You can see, obviously, something's happened there. Some good news. It's gapped up. Strong day. It's open lower, and that's just really profit taking for anyone that's bought it through here. That may have had a heads up. We don't know. It's not supposed to happen, but we all know it does. A bit of a heads up of what's going on there. That's chopping around in there. This ideal. This is an ideal entry for this one. If you were looking at it at that stage, EUC, you can see it's holding. It's spent a good 2 months holding that high above 4 cents, and then it's trying to go lower, but this sort of curving up when it's just broken through, say 4.67. I think that high, 4.8. If you bought it at 4.9, for instance, just on that candle, even that green candle, that's looking good. It's off a higher low. You've really got that retest fail or double bottom or whatever you want to call it around 4. It's washed out 4. push back up, push back up, had another go at it, tried to sink there, but buyers are just stepping in slightly higher around 4, and then they're stepping in slightly higher again around 4.23 to build this high low, and then it's just broken up and through. Ideal, nice entry. You're front running the break of that high there, but we know that after it tries a couple of times, anyone who's been shorting it, you either failed once, maybe failed twice, you're going to give up on shorting it anyway, or if you're holding it long, you'd probably just be inclined to hold it a bit longer to see what happened, and I think that's what happened. That's dragged in some more buyers, started heading up, looking good. At the moment, I think we need to see a bit more of this type of price action. We've got a high low just in here, potentially at 7.3. Just want to see that chop around in here, and then potentially you can get it up through 8.5 if we hold a higher low in here. It could be one that, you know, just chops around. I'll draw what I mean. So that's what I'm saying. That was that high low in here. Break up through that high. Really nice, because you know it's going sideways from there. So you're looking for when it's going to start accelerating up. As soon as it gets up through that high, you know you're in for a good little trade. Potential new leg higher. The new legs from there to there. If you can extrapolate that out from here, it's probably just up there now. So this one here, if you're going to buy it, I'd be wanting to see that hold. I'd want to see, that's the move up. It's pulled back. That's the high. I would want to see some higher low action. And then potentially, you know, front running like that off a higher low, that sort of thing, front running the break of that high, which is potentially at 8.5, or just buying through a break of 8.5. But then you know that potentially we are getting a bit extended here. There's nothing to say why it just can't keep smashing higher, straight up through 9. If it takes out those highs, would be great. But I'd like to see that type of price action if you can make out what I'm saying. So just buying it straight in here, I think you definitely know that, Clement, anyway. At least you love me there, Paul. Yeah, will do, mate. Thanks very much for joining us, Paul. See you Thursday. All right, does that make sense there, Clement? That looks great. I think you know that what you're looking for anyway. It's great price action. Looks nice. There's potential there. You know where your risk is going to be. Minimise your risk. Let's see what happens. MSP, we'll probably call it quits after this one anyway. MSP. That there, just eyeballing that, you probably don't need to go to a weekly. I mean, it's done many years through here. Back to the daily, it just can't get through that 2. It's getting bought up and held up above 2. It's this last little kick up, which would probably lead to me to start watching it, or at least looking at it for a potential buy entry. You can see it's pushed up. That was way back when, 2015 or so. Choppy, it's holding lower highs. You know, that was a lower high, so it's still holding in here. But then it's held that little higher low at 2, and we've got this push up through, what is it, about 3.5. So we just take a step back. I'll draw that up a bit better. So extrapolating that out, and just drawing, so you've gone up, retested the low, gone up, lower high here, push through that recent low here, push back up, retested that high, say around 3.5, pull back. But this is the interesting thing. When you see that higher low, that's what you want to start perking up, because you know that buyers are stepping in earlier after this washout. You know, that 2 level is quite strong. There, you've had that little washout of 2 just in here to take out that low. It's gone back down, so if that was weak, it should have kept going and shouldn't have done nothing. You would have expected to at least retest down at sort of that, I think it was 1.5 or so. Retest down there or break it. It didn't. It couldn't really do much more than just sort of 1 day below 2, and then started popping out. And this is where you're going to be interested, where it's popped up through 3.5, which is the recent lower high. So we're starting to get buyers taking control. You've got another high low here. So we're really just going up to this high again. I would ideally like to see maybe retest there and then work off another higher low. But we'll see how it goes. It's still got, I think there's still a key level really through there. It could go up, retest there, and then it could just be range trading for a long time. But if you start getting something in here where you can work off a high low and it pushes up just above 4 and retest that high, you're going to be up anyway. So it could still have potential with it. I think we're at the right side of it, right side of the trade where buyers are stepping in and starting to take control. So definitely in the right zone, rather than, you know, sellers still controlling with lower highs. Does that make sense there, Michael? All right. I guess we'll finish it just there, guys. That's been just on an hour now, so let's just see where we're at the moment. Market's still not looking too bad. It's just up 7 points at the moment. Still just hovering around that break even. Around even anyway. So, yeah, thanks very much for joining us. We'll be back again on Thursday at 12:30, the usual time. So, yeah, just jump in. Feel free to put up anything you want, even if it's a currency. We didn't get time to look at the Aussie, but we're going to take a look at that later. That's the old short sellers getting squeezed out of the market play that we speak about a bit. We know that they're stacked up on the short side. Structure looks great. Sent out a daily alert a while ago, and it's headed up since then, so it's looking great. We'll put out another alert later on today. So we're getting still into the currency. So if there's any currencies you want to look at on Thursday too, just chuck it in. Anything at all. We'll go through them. All right, guys, thank you very much for joining us. Back on board. Hope you all had a good 2 weeks and having a good week this week. And we'll see you all again on Thursday. Cheers, guys. Bye.